The weirdest jobs you never knew existed. I work at a mermaid school, which is one of those sentences that immediately makes people think I'm either joking, unemployed, or seconds away from asking them if they've heard the call of the sea. But no, it's a real business. I teach people how to swim in mermaid tails, like professionally. We do classes, birthday parties, bachelorette parties, photo shoots, the whole aquatic fever dream. Little kids love it, obviously, but grown adults get weirdly invested too. There's nothing funnier than watching a fully serious accountant named Melissa spend 20 minutes learning dolphin kicks so she can become moonwater sapphire fin for a Saturday. And mermaid tails are way harder to swim in than people think. Movies lied to everybody. You can't just flop around gracefully like Ariel unless your core strength is insane. Beginners always look majestic for about 6 seconds before realizing they've voluntarily zippered their legs together inside a giant waterproof sleeping bag. The bachelorette parties are absolute chaos too. Nothing prepares you for supervising 6 drunk bridesmaids trying to synchronously mermaid pose while one slowly drifts toward the pool filter, like a stunned manatee. But honestly, the modeling gigs are the craziest part. There are entire days where my actual paid responsibilities involve sitting on fake rocks, getting sprayed with water, while photographers yell stuff like more mystical. And I'm just trying not to cramp to death under 15 pounds of silicone tail. And those tails are heavy. Nobody tells you that. People picture elegant, magical sea creatures. In reality, it's like dragging a damp, weighted blanket through chlorinated water while smiling for Instagram. Also, once you've worn a hyper-realistic mermaid tail enough times, your brain completely stops treating it as unusual. I've had moments driving home exhausted, smelling like pool chemicals, casually thinking, damn, my scales are chafing again, like I'm some divorced aquatic cryptid trying to make rent. Honestly, though, best job I've ever had. Story 2. I work in physical security risk assessment, which is the professional adult way of saying I get paid to break into places that absolutely, definitely do not want people breaking into them. Hospitals, jails, government buildings, corporate facilities, basically every location where getting caught immediately turns the situation into the world's least relaxing conversation. Officially, it's called a physical penetration test, which sounds either deeply corporate or wildly inappropriate, depending on who's hearing it. But it's legit. Companies hire us to test security because apparently we checked the locks once in 2009 is no longer considered a strategy under compliance laws. And let me tell you right now, human beings are the weakest part of every security system ever invented. Every time. Fancy badge scanners, reinforced doors, cameras everywhere. Doesn't matter. Somewhere there's always a side entrance propped open with a rock because Gary wanted a smoke break. The funniest part is I didn't even train for this like some movie spy. I kinda stumbled into it after somebody retired, which honestly feels concerning in hindsight. Like one day you're just a normal guy and the next you're professionally evaluating prison escape routes while carrying lockpicks and pretending to belong places. And half the job is psychological. Skepticism, creativity, being able to think like a criminal without actually becoming one, which sounds cool until you realize it permanently ruins your brain. I can't enter buildings normally anymore. I walk into hotels mentally cataloging exits, like a raccoon casing a dumpster. Also, there is nothing more awkward than getting caught mid-test before security's been informed. Imagine trying to explain to an armed guard why you're halfway through bypassing a locked maintenance corridor while wearing business casual. Sir, what are you doing? Oh, no worries. I'm actually supposed to be illegally inside right now. Real smooth profession. Jails are the weirdest too, because sometimes they'll literally ask me to try escaping after getting in, which is one of those requests where your brain briefly pauses and goes, this feels like the beginning of a news article. Honestly, the biggest lesson this job teaches you is that society is held together by vibes and laminated ID badges. Most security systems aren't preventing determined people, they're mostly filtering out lazy ones, which is a horrifying realization to carry around every day, while office workers hold doors open for strangers because you looked like you knew where you were going. Story 3. Right now I'm sitting 1,400 feet underground inside a mountain at like 6,500 feet elevation, filling gigantic rubber bladders with 75,000 pounds of water so we can intentionally try to break a crane, which sounds less like a real engineering job and more like the setup to a Discovery Channel special narrated by a guy named Troy. And before anybody asks, yes, they absolutely look like giant rubber balls. Every single new guy makes the same joke within 30 seconds. Every single time. Corporate engineering apparently runs on the humor level of a middle school locker room. The weirdest part is how boring catastrophic testing actually is. People imagine sparks, flying, alarms blaring, dramatic yelling. Nah. Mostly it's hours of waiting while water slowly fills these massive pressure bags deep underground in concrete tunnels that feel like a Bond villain starter apartment. So everybody just scrolls their phone in folding chairs beside millions of dollars of equipment going, think it'll explode today? And there's Wi-Fi down here somehow. That's the detail that really breaks people's brains. We barely get cell service in parking garages, but apparently underground mountain crane balloon laboratories have stable internet. Humanity's priorities are fascinating. Honestly, the whole environment feels fake. You ride an elevator down into the mountain before sunrise, walk through damp tunnels, hearing machinery echo off the walls, then spend 12 hours stress testing industrial equipment next to giant swollen water sacks while arguing about lunch orders. It feels like I accidentally got hired by Aperture Science. My mom still doesn't understand what I do. She tells people I'm some kind of engineer, which honestly is safer than trying to explain that I spend most of my day underground inflating industrial testicles to near failure while posting on Reddit. Story 4. I map and inspect sewer lines with a robotic camera system before and after gas companies drill underground utilities, which is apparently crucial infrastructure work or whatever. In reality, I drive around piloting a little robot through rivers of human regret. That's the job. I'm basically a sewer drone operator, a blue-collar submarine captain for poop tubes. And dude, every day, somebody walks up to my truck like they just discovered a side quest NPC. What you doing down there? Same tone too, like they caught me burying evidence instead of preventing multi-million-dollar gas line disasters. I'll be standing there in a reflective vest, holding a controller, staring at live footage from inside a sewer pipe, while some retiree with infinite free time materializes behind me, going, bet you see some crazy stuff, haha. Brother, I'm looking at 30 feet of wet wipes and greasebergs the size of Hondas. There is no whimsy left in me. The robot itself honestly looks adorable too, which makes the whole thing worse. Little wheels, tiny camera, cute industrial sewer goblin energy. Meanwhile, this brave little bastard is down there hydroplaning through nightmare sludge, while I'm topside, trying not to think about what just splashed onto my boot. And the smells? Listen, you never fully get used to sewer smell. People who say that are lying. Your brain just develops emotional scar tissue. But technically speaking, I do pilot robots for a living, which sounds insanely cool if you leave out literally every detail after that. Story 5. Most people look at decorative fountains the same way they look at wallpaper or ducks. Just kind of mentally file it under there. Water goes up. Water comes down. Pretty lights? Neat. Nobody stops to wonder what kind of deeply unwell engineering is happening underneath that little dancing hotel fountain while they're throwing pennies into it, making wishes about Chad texting back. Meanwhile, I work in a fountain testing lab, and let me tell you right now, decorative water features are held together by dark science and emotional instability. I'm a fountain lab technician, which sounds fake. Sounds like the world's most niche Batman villain. But no, this is real. We test pumps, pressure systems, nozzle arrays, synchronized programming, chemical balancing, lighting systems. All this insanely complicated nonsense just so a casino lobby can squirt water artistically at rich people. And fountains are dramatic. Tiny mistakes become instant disasters. Wrong pressure calibration? Congratulations. The peaceful shopping mall fountain is now pressure washing toddlers across the food court. One sensor fails, and suddenly the water choreography starts looking possessed. I watched a test fountain once start pulsing randomly in complete silence like it was trying to communicate with aircraft. People think it's all elegant, too. Nah. Half my job is crawling through wet mechanical rooms that smell like chlorine and overheated wiring, while muttering things like, why is Zone 3 cavitating again? Like some exhausted aquatic wizard. And don't even get me started on synchronized fountains. Those things are basically underwater rave robots. There are computers timing water arcs down to fractions of seconds so tourists can stand there holding pretzels going, wow, pretty. I swear humanity has secretly over-engineered the hell out of everything. Somewhere Beneath every fancy hotel courtyard is a stressed-out guy like me fighting for his life against 27 angry pumps so vacation dads can take blurry Facebook photos beside glowing water jazz. Story 6. I arrange and score operas written by elementary school kids, which sounds whimsical and inspiring until you're 3 coffees deep trying to orchestrate a dramatic musical number called The Sad Dragon Who Ate Too Much Spaghetti. And before anybody asks, yes, these are real operas. Tiny, chaotic, child operas. Every year, hundreds of kids write full stories, scripts, songs, scenery, costumes, the whole thing. Then people like me swoop in to help turn their absolute fever dream ideas into something an audience can witness without medical supervision. At the start of the year, the kids write the story first, which is honestly the purest form of creativity left on earth, because children have absolutely no respect for narrative structure. Their plots go hard. You'll start with, a princess loses her shoe, and somehow by page 4 there's time travel, a haunted taco, and a morally complicated squirrel king. Then I come in to help with melodies and recording. Older kids usually have actual song ideas. Little kids, though, total chaos. Half the time they just scream one sentence rhythmically and stare at me like, well, make it art, music man. So I'm sitting there trying to translate pure kindergarten energy into sheet music. Like, okay, apparently this scene where the moon explodes should be in 3/4 time, and the emotional whiplash is insane. 1 minute, a second grader is singing a song about friendship and worms. Next minute, another kid casually writes the most devastating lyric you've ever heard because children accidentally access emotions adults spend thousands in therapy trying to rediscover. The coolest part, though, is they own all of it. We guide them, sure, but the final performances are their work. They paint the sets, rehearse for months, perform the whole thing live, which means every spring I get to sit in an auditorium watching tiny humans proudly perform bizarre experimental opera masterpieces about ninja dolphins or sentient pancakes while parents cry like it's opening night at the Met. Honestly, it rules. Exhausting, weird, occasionally acoustically violent, but rules. Story 7. I draw commissioned cartoon porn for a living. There's really no graceful way to say that out loud either. Every conversation becomes a hostage situation immediately. People always assume I'm joking too. I'll say it completely straight-faced like, yeah, I'm an illustrator, and they get all excited. Oh, cool. What do you draw? Then I gotta decide whether to lie or emotionally clothesline this stranger with the truth. Because the truth is, I have paid rent drawing things that would absolutely kill a medieval peasant instantly. And listen, the wild part? It pays really well. Like suspiciously well. Maybe society got too comfortable with the internet levels of well. Meanwhile, insanely talented, fine artists are out there eating canned beans in studio apartments while I'm getting invoices marked urgent because somebody needs a cartoon goblin in fishnets by Friday. I kind of fell into it too. Started doing normal commissions, fan art, character designs, whatever. Then one day, somebody offered me like $400 to draw something deeply concerning involving an elf and, I don't know, probably emotional baggage. And suddenly I was sitting there doing mental math like a cowboy staring at a wanted poster. The clients are honestly the funniest part. Some are super normal corporate email people too, like, hello, hope you're doing well. Attached are reference images for the buff vampire scenario. Brother, what scenario? And after a while, your brain gets poisoned. You stop reacting to anything. Somebody sends a request that would have made 19-year-old you drive into traffic, and now you're just sipping coffee going, tentacles again. Nature is healing. Honestly, though, it beats retail. Nobody screamed at me over expired coupons in years. Story 8. I'm an advanced technology specialist at a major car dealership, which sounds incredibly futuristic. Sounds like I should be developing self-driving AI systems or calibrating lasers for military prototypes. In reality, I spend most of my day pairing divorced dads' iPhones to SUVs. That's the job. That's the glamorous cutting edge of automotive technology, apparently. And listen, I can do more. A lot more. I'm fully trained on software updates, firmware flashes, infotainment diagnostics, satellite radio systems, audio/video troubleshooting, head unit failures, connectivity problems, all that insanely complicated modern car tech nonsense manufacturers cram into dashboards now. Modern vehicles are basically giant smartphones with cup holders. Half the electrical systems talk to each other through software modules like stressed out coworkers in a group chat. One firmware glitch, and suddenly your backup camera thinks it's 2017. But despite all that training, 80% of my existence is still just this. Hi, yes, my Bluetooth stopped working. Ma'am, your phone's Bluetooth is turned off. And people get so overwhelmed by car technology now. Somebody buys a $70,000 vehicle with lane assist, adaptive cruise control, wireless CarPlay, satellite navigation, voice commands, parking sensors, 3 cameras, and enough computing power to invade a small country, then immediately panic because Spotify won't connect. Honestly, dealerships should just replace the sales process with mandatory emotional support classes. The funniest part is customers think I'm performing sorcery too. I'll tap like 4 buttons and suddenly their music starts playing through the speakers and they stare at me like I repaired the Large Hadron Collider with a paperclip. Sometimes I intentionally walk slower back to the car after checking something because if you fix Bluetooth too quickly, people lose confidence. You gotta create the illusion of battle. Maybe sigh once, tap the screen thoughtfully, whisper, like the car, and I are negotiating. And every generation handles it differently too. Older customers are terrified to touch anything because they think one wrong tap will eject the transmission into traffic. Younger customers mash random settings at full confidence until the infotainment system enters dimensions previously unknown to science. Also, car manufacturers absolutely lie about how intuitive these systems are. Every company claims their interface is simple and user-friendly, while burying basic settings inside 17 menus labeled things like Connectivity, Experience Hub. Honestly though, there is something weirdly satisfying about helping people. Story 9. Buddy of mine somehow stumbled into the world's most suspicious-sounding government job. Dude was technically a wildlife biologist, right? Quiet guy, wore cargo pants unironically, knew bird calls. The kind of man who says stuff like riparian zone in casual conversation and somehow still gets dates. But somewhere along the line, he got pulled into ecosystem restoration work and accidentally specialized in setting entire forests on fire for a living. Like, that was genuinely his job title adjacent situation. Controlled burn coordinator, which sounds fake as hell. Sounds like the made-up career your unemployed cousin invents after 1 semester of environmental science. But nope, state-approved woodland arson. And the funniest part was how calm he acted about it. We'd be eating wings, and this man would casually go, "Yeah, tomorrow we're burning about 400 acres. Excuse me? 400 acres? Brother, that sounds like a Batman villain origin story. But apparently, the native plants needed fire because evolution is insane and invasive species folded immediately under heat like cheap lawn chairs. So this dude spent half his week studying ecosystems and the other half walking around with drip torches lighting up hillsides like Smokey the Bear's sleep paralysis demon. He showed me photos once, and I swear every single one looked like the last known image of a man before the FBI releases a statement. Just him standing there in yellow fire gear, surrounded by flames, looking weirdly relaxed. Like, yeah man, that's Steve. He's helping nature by committing light forestry crimes. Story 10. I program traffic signals for a living, which means I directly control whether your morning commute feels like divine intervention or a personal attack from God. And let me tell you right now, nobody thinks traffic lights are real infrastructure. People treat them like random magical street decorations that either work or don't. Meanwhile, there are entire systems, timing plans, sensors, coordination patterns, pedestrian intervals, emergency preemption setups, absolute galaxy brain math happening behind every stupid little red light you scream at. You ever drive down a long road and somehow hit every green perfectly? That was me, baby. That's engineering. That's art. That's me sitting in front of traffic software at 11 p.m., trying to create harmony out of thousands of angry metal boxes piloted by caffeine addicts. Of course, nobody notices when traffic timing works. Drivers just float through intersections blissfully unaware, like woodland creatures. But the second one light feels too long, society collapses instantly. This light is always red. Yeah, because if we shorten your side street by 10 seconds, we accidentally gridlock 3 major intersections, and now downtown turns into Fury Road by 5 p.m. Calm down. And traffic patterns are psychotic too. Humans don't drive consistently at all. One concert ends, one Chick-fil-A opens, one guy taps his brakes for no reason, and suddenly the entire roadway network starts behaving like a panicked ant colony. The funniest part is, everybody thinks they've figured out traffic lights. My uncle says they're all on timers. Some are Gary. Some use sensors. Some communicate with each other. Some adapt dynamically. Some are old enough to qualify for Social Security. America's traffic infrastructure is basically layers of technology duct taped together over 50 years of municipal budgeting decisions. Also, yes, we know certain intersections suck. Sometimes there's literally no good answer. You're trying to balance pedestrians, emergency vehicles, school zones, turning lanes, freight routes, traffic surges, and impatient psychopaths in lifted trucks all at once. Urban planning is basically professional compromise under fluorescent lighting. And if a signal breaks, oh my god, drivers instantly lose all higher brain function. A dark intersection turns ordinary adults into confused raccoons fighting over expired bread. Honestly, though, there's weird satisfaction in it. Millions of people move through systems you quietly tuned behind the scenes. Nobody knows your name, but every once in a while, somebody cruises through 6 synchronized greens in a row and thinks, hell yeah, that's my Super Bowl right there.